Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Tonight I have a list for you guys. Tonight we're going to be talking about the 5 anime that I enjoy that a lot of people dislike. This was recommended to me by my good patron and friend Warpbait. And I think it's probably going to be a two-part list here. I'm probably going to do the 5 anime that I enjoy that other people dislike now, and in the future I can do kind of the opposite. I can do 5 anime that everybody else likes that I hate or dislike. Now, with a lot of these, people might dislike these shows. They don't have necessarily have the lowest mal scores out there. Um, to be frank, I have not seen a whole lot of trash anime, and the ones that I have, I also tend to dislike. So if I like a show that a lot of people dislike, it might just be like a personal preference thing. And then there's a lot of people like me out there, I think, that probably might have some of these shows might have a cult following and stuff like that. One that I know for sure does is my number 5 on this list, and that's Shakugan no Shana. So this was one of the first anime that I watched around like 20 when I was getting back into anime. I think around like 2014, 2015 or so. And the thing about Shana is, looking back on it now, if you've seen like a certain magical index, like you've seen Shana but better. Shana is a light novel adaptation, 3 seasons long, and they're all like 26 episode seasons, I'm pretty sure, or 24. So I think it's 72 episodes total, and then there's OVAs and movies and stuff. Pretty big franchise, but it's about this cool sort of demon hunter girl. Not really a demon hunter. She's the flaming hair, blazing eyed hunter or something. I believe that's what they call her. And she like exists sort of in this like realm in between the like worlds and stuff like that. And then she, it's a love story because she meets this Yuji guy who isn't that interesting and is pretty boring. But he gets a little bit of development later along, and then the show by season 3 goes like out of left field with some crazy shit going on with Yuji and some of the other characters and stuff. But it's it's your generic sort of action light novel adaptation. It tends to try and make you care about a lot of characters that you just don't. Like, it tries to shove this love triangle down your throat, which nobody cares about. Shana herself, I like her as a character. She's this cool tsundere type of character, like Taiga from Toradora or something, where she, is very often angry and is unwilling to show her love for the main character, even though she actually does have feelings for him. She's pretty, cute herself. She likes, she eats this melon bread, which is I also love. When I visited Japan, I loved eating melon bread. It's delicious. She loves eating melon bread and has this like, whenever she gets like pissed off or embarrassed or something, she does the famous like shut up, shut up, shut up, or urusai, urusai, urusai. Yeah, that's cool for like the first like season and a half. It gets kind of old come season 3. Season 3 is pretty bad in its own right. But for the most part, I enjoyed Shana when I did watch it. I don't know if I would ever rewatch it again, but I know a lot of people kind of dislike this. They see it as kind of super generic. I've seen people complain that the action isn't that great. And honestly, it really isn't in comparison to a lot of stuff. But I think I watched this anime at like the perfect time. Like, it was good to sort of like get back in because it had elements of like Inuyasha, my favorite anime that I had liked back in the day. And I mean, it had some cool, like a couple cool characters here and there, but some cool powers and an interesting world. It was a good like get back into it. Maybe it might be a good first anime for some people because there's nowhere to go but up if you think that this anime is trash. So Shakugan no Shana, I'll put that at number 5. Number 4, another personal favorite of mine that I know a lot of people dislike is Watamode. This is, now I know I've explained before that I've shared my experiences of sharing anime with my dad before, and Watamote, he has told me, is by far the least favorite one that I've shown him. And I've shown him probably like 50, 60 shows by now. Um, and I can see why, like, a lot of people would be bored by this show because it literally is just about a girl who's unpopular, who's, like, a hikikomori, who just wants to play games and stuff like that, but has in her brain has this like fascination with like being popular, but can't ever go with it. And the show has next to no progress at all, and really isn't like about anything. But in that regard, it's hilarious to me, and it's awesome. I look at it like this like black comedy about with like the she is like the utmost like most hyperbolous example of like an antisocial person. And it's just like I think that I don't know, a lot of people could see a little bit of themselves in Tomoko from Watamote. But she's obviously like an extreme. Now the manga for this is way better. I haven't finished it, but I've read like 4 or 5 volumes of that, and that has much better jokes and pacing. And I think even the art kind of looks better in the manga. The anime is definitely boring. I mean, it's only like 12, 13 episodes long, but it feels longer. And like I said, not a lot of progression. I think a lot of people go into shows wanting things to happen. And while things you could argue do happen in Watamote, by the end of it, it's very minimal, and that's kind of the joke. So I can see why a lot of people don't like Watamote. I personally do. It has an amazing OP, by the way. But yeah, I can see why a lot of people might think that it's boring. Next up on this list, and definitely not boring, is IGPX, or the Immortal Grand Prix. Now, my good friend Light Lelouch has shat on this anime before in our podcast, and a lot of people don't even know that this really exists. This was a Toonami show back in the day. Immortal Grand Prix is like a sports mecha show about like way in the future. Basically, people are doing like robot NASCAR. That's really what it is. They're racing with like fighting robots. They almost look like they're on like ice skate blades on the road. They go like crazy speeds, and the track is enormous. By the way, the tracks are like the size of like a country. It seems like. Now it has a lot of like older CG in it, which a lot of people might not like. Doesn't always necessarily look that great, but I think the show is pretty good. It's got an okay English dub with like some actual real American actors and actresses in it. And it went for 2 seasons. It doesn't explain a whole lot about the sport itself. It kind of just wants you to sort of sit back and enjoy, and the characters aren't necessarily the most interesting people in the world. So I think that the show probably could have just been 1 season. I feel like the second season's really shoehorned in there. Yeah, they develop some of the side characters and the backstories and stuff like that, but you kind of don't give a shit. Even if you do like the show, you kind of just want to see robots punching each other and racing on this giant track, and that's really what the show is, and that's why I enjoy it. So check out IGPX if you haven't before, and tell me what you think. Number 3, I have another one that's sort of number 2, I have one that's sort of near and dear to my heart. Chrono Crusade. Now, Chrono Crusade was one of the first manga that I had finished, and then I went right into the anime. Just before I got to meet Greg, like literally days before, I crammed in the anime because I knew I was going to be meeting Greg Ayers at my first Anime Boston a few years back, and he voices Chrono. Now, this show is not... It's a pretty good adaptation of a good manga, in my opinion. I think the manga is very solid. But some of the characters in the dub are sort of annoying. I'm not a huge fan of Hilary Hag as Rosette. Just like the anime feels... I feel like the manga was just like paced a lot better. Like it felt easier to read than it did to watch in motion. And Gonzo also did the animation, who can really suck sometimes when they're not really trying. And they definitely, I feel like there was not enough people like working on the show. It has a slightly different ending to manga compared to anime, although they were both written by original mangaka Daisuke Moriyama. I do overall. I think the manga is just a far better experience, but I still love the story and like the setting of Chrono Crusade. It's a period piece, about like 1920s America where but demons and shit exists, and there's people in the church that hunt demons and shit, and they just happen to have a demon working with them. You have this nun named Rosette Christopher, who has this bond with this demon guy named Chrono, and they're trying to get her Rosette's brother back, who got taken away for spoilery reasons. And alongside, and they get some friends along the way and stuff like that. And they have some pretty cool fights with some of the demons. The main villain demon guy is also pretty cool. I'm a fan of strong villains. But it doesn't look that great. I'll admit that it doesn't. The manga just does such a better job. I could see why a lot of people would be put off by this adaptation. Like I said, Hilary Hagg's voice is really loud and annoying as Rosette. Not really how I pictured her in my head while reading the manga. But I think Chrono Crusade is at least worth checking out. I know a lot of people dislike it, but that leads me to my number one anime that a lot of people seem to dislike, but I think is pretty good. And I know I'm not alone in this, but this anime I've always referred to as the punching bag in anime, like modern day, I guess. And that's Elfin Lead. Elfin Lead has like the best like opening 10 minutes in all of anime. Like it is, you could just YouTube episode 1. I guarantee it's probably up there. Literally, it opens up with just this naked, pink-haired chick ripping people apart with like these telekinetic arms. If that sounds like your cup of tea, then you're gonna like 75% of the show. The other 25%, I don't know. Because the show does this weird thing where like it's ultra violent and some cool like kind of sci-fi fantasy type stuff with these creatures that have these telekinetic arms and like this government agency that was like trying to control them and stuff like that. But it also has this like weird going like B story of like one of them getting amnesia and basically living with this weird like incestuous cousin couple that are our main characters, and it turns out that you get a lot of like backstory with these characters and stuff like that. You get a lot of backstory of the of Lucy, the pink haired girl who gets amnesia, and it's got a lot of really cool gore, but at the same time a lot of like really cute characters and some cute characters getting ripped apart, which, hey, it's cool by me. But I know a lot of people don't like it because the weird like incesty cousin thing, and they just really dislike some of the cutesy characters. The story can be kind of all over the place, and it has a kind of a weird ending. But I still really like Elfin Lead. I love gore. I really like the character designs in the anime, especially compared to the manga. I haven't read the manga, but I've just seen images of it online, and the characters look very different in that. I enjoy how the anime looks. I like Lucy as a character. You like and hate her for stuff that she's done in her past. But it's just, I think, an overall very interesting show that a lot of people sort of beat up on. I think a lot of people, it might have been like their first like violent anime, and I think it was definitely one of my first like ultra violent shows that I had seen, at least anime wise. And now people look back on it, having seen like other things that are like do a similar thing but better, and I think they look back on Elfin Lead with like their nose in the air, right? And they say, "Oh, I can't believe I used to like that thing." But I think I don't know. I think like Shana, like it's a good sort of like stepping stone anime. Like I think a lot of people should check out Elfin Lead if they are into like more violent stuff, like in terms of like regular movies and shows and stuff like that, and they don't think that anime necessarily provides that sort of action. Definitely check out Elfin Lead. I really like it. But let me know down below, what are some anime that you guys really like that a lot of people seem to not enjoy. And I know that could be divisive, so let's try and not argue in the comment section. Big thank you again to Warpape and all of my patrons. I'll have a link down below if you would like to support this channel, if you like what I'm doing here. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Miasma, and I'll see you next time.